Today, let's talk about quadrilaterals. Quadrilaterals are basically a polygon with four sides. Remember, a polygon is any shape that has straight sides and it must be closed. So we have a lot of different examples: triangles, quadrilaterals, pentagons, hexagons, octagons, decagons, you name it. Those are all polygons. But one type of polygon that we're looking at today is quadrilaterals. Remember, quad means four. Quadrilaterals are polygons with four sides. There are two basic types of quadrilaterals that we're studying in this grade level. And there's other types of quadrilaterals out there, but these are the two main families of trapezoids. Of quadrilaterals. You have the quadrilaterals that have one pair of parallel sides, and then you have the other kind of quadrilaterals that have two pairs of parallel sides. So they're either going to be in the trapezoid family, which is one pair of parallel sides, or they're going to be in the parallelogram family with two pairs of parallel sides. So the trapezoid family is pretty small. There's not very many different ways that these look to us. So let's take a look. I'm going to try to draw them as carefully as I can. Those are supposed to be parallel sides. You can see here it's got the four sides, but it only has this one pair of parallel lines. This line and this line are parallel, which makes it a trapezoid. Another way that this sometimes looks is like this. So as you can see here again, this shape that I've just drawn has only one pair of parallel sides. We've this set right here. Those are the parallel lines here. So trapezoids, a pretty small family. There's not a lot to them. But parallelograms gets a lot more shapes kind of qualify as parallelograms. Usually when you're thinking about a parallelogram, you're probably thinking of this kind of shape, where these two lines are parallel and these two lines are parallel. So here you have two pairs of parallel sides, and this is kind of a classic parallelogram. But we have some other types of parallelograms that we like to be even more specific when we are talking about them, and that is this shape that we know to be the rectangle. To be a rectangle, all you have to have is four right angles. Okay? That is the attribute that makes a rectangle, are the four right angles. So any quadrilateral that you see that has four right angles, you can call it a rectangle. You can also call it a parallelogram. You can also call it a quadrilateral. It's all of those. The other type that you're going to see from time to time is a rhombus. You know, when you were younger, you might have learned this to be a diamond, but it's technically called a rhombus. And to be a rhombus, I'm trying to draw it as parallel as I can, is it still has two pairs of parallel sides. It is a type of parallelogram. The thing about a rhombus is that all it takes to be a rhombus is to be a quadrilateral with four congruent sides. So these marks here are telling me that those are all equal, and that's all congruent means, is just same or equal. And so we call any quadrilateral with four equal sides a rhombus. But see, something interesting happens. There's one certain shape that kind of just falls within all of these parallelogram family, and that is our famous square. To be called a square, you have to have two things. You have to have four right angles, and you have to have four equal sides. So it's kind of like the rectangle and the rhombus are the parents, and both of their attributes came together to make the square. So what's interesting about the square is we can call it so many names. The most specific name we can come up with is to call it a square, and that means it has four right angles and four equal sides. But I can also call it a rectangle because it has four right angles. I can call it a rhombus because it has four equal sides. And of course I can call it a parallelogram because it has two pairs of parallel sides. So a square is kind of like the famous quadrilateral that can be named lots of different things. But I just kind of wanted you to see the difference between trapezoids with one pair of parallel sides and parallelograms with two pair of parallel sides. This, when you're looking at the angles of a shape and the sides, it really helps you to classify them. Now, of course, there are other types of quadrilaterals that look all kinds of different shapes. Like here's one with, it's not perfect. You get the idea though. It still has four sides, but it doesn't fit the trapezoid or the parallelogram family. Another one you see, it's sometimes referred to as a kite shape. Don't confuse this with a rhombus. Just because it's kind of in the same shape, the four sides are not equal. They're not congruent. So we can't call it a rhombus because it doesn't have two pairs of parallel sides. So these are some other examples of quadrilaterals that don't really fit into the trapezoid or the parallelogram family. So remember, when you see the word rectangle, think four right angles. When you see rhombus, think about four equal sides. And when you see a square, just realize that it has both traits of a rectangle and a rhombus. That's all for today. I hope it helps refresh your memory on how we classify quadrilaterals.